please, don't try anything that you're about to see us do at home. Ever.
On this episode of MythBusters, get ready to be shaken and stirred, because it's the MythBusters James Bond special.
How cool is that?
All the gadgets, guns, and getaways you can handle, as we find out, can Bond's magnetic watch really deflect a bullet? Then Carrie, Grant, and Tori fire up a fiendish plan.
Anybody else feel like an evil genius?
To explode the myth that Bond's bullet could ignite a propane gas tank. And can Jamie and Adam land 007's spectacular leap without smashing up their speedboat?
Oh my God!
Who are the Mythbusters? Adam Savage.
I am the villain, Baron von Savage.
And Jamie Heineman.
Mush.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience.
Rise, my son.
Joining them, Grant Imahara.
Weapon of choice is a crossbow.
Tori Belleci.
It's getting dangerous now, and that's how we like it.
And Carrie Byron.
That is messed up!
They don't just tell the myths.
Wow, I can feel the pressure.
They put them to the test.
James, I'm frightened.
I sense trouble.
You have every right to be afraid, my lovely. For I, Baron von Savage, have concocted a series of diabolical tests for you and your penguin friend here.
But why?
Why? Because it is time for the MythBusters James Bond special.
Not this time, Baron.
No?
It's Heineman. James Heineman.
Grab your martini glass and dust off the tux, because it's the James Bond special, starting off with a timeless 007 movie myth.
And what special treat do you have in store for me?
Ha! Your naivety, James, surprises even me. According to your cue, that watch on your wrist can generate an intense magnetic field, supposedly strong enough to deflect bullets. My plan is to try it out for real.
Well, then I guess it better work.
For your sake, I hope so.
The scene's laid out in our secret agent's storyboard. The watch is the groovy gadget that Q conjures up for 007 in Live and Let Die. Disguised as an ordinary wristwatch, it creates a hyper-intensified magnetic field when Bond switches it on. And although we never see it in the movie, Bond reckons it's powerful enough to deflect a bad guy's bullet.
How are we going to test this one out, Baron?
I believe that we will begin in my underground lair.
And you're going to stay in character for this whole thing?
No, I can't. I gotta take a break. It's killing my voice.
Okay.
Anyway, I figured that it's easy enough to find an electromagnet that can fit in that watch, and we hook that up, get ourselves a shooting range and a gun, and start firing some bullets past it.
Okay.
Now, any myth that involves a magnet makes James one happy guy. He's got what you could call an extensive collection.
When it comes to magnets, I'm your guy. I've got every kind of magnet, all shapes and sizes, even magnets here that only exist here.
In a previous episode, James used super powerful permanent magnets to build a duct climbing device. But this myth calls for a magnet of a different kind.
That's the one.
An electromagnet.
Electromagnets are made by wrapping a copper wire around a steel core and then running current through it. That induces an electric field. That's as opposed to a permanent magnet, which is just some magnetic material that's been permanently magnetized.
Unlike Bond's watch, permanent magnets can't be switched on and off, but electromagnets can. And James has found just the one for this test.
I have the perfect electromagnet. It's the right size, it's the right shape. It's going to go inside this watch, which is an exact replica of the electromagnetic watch in Live and Let Die.
James juices up his magnet to run at 5 times its usual voltage, making it the strongest magnet that could possibly be wedged into a watch.
There, it's a watch. Looks like a watch, but it's not.
But does a magnet this small really stand a chance against a speeding bullet? Before our daring duo head out on Her Majesty's Secret Service, they do something for your eyes only.
I think it's really good that we get this chance to bond.
Not Bond, Heineman. James Heineman.
Let's go.
So what do you got?
This one comes from the latest Bond movie, Casino Royale. Bond is surrounded by bad guys, seemingly no escape. When he spies a propane tank, he whips out his gun and shoots it.
Yeah, he's like 20 feet away. He sees a 100-pound propane tank, shoots it with a 9mm. It explodes, and he survives.
In the movie, our secret agent hero's got himself in a tight corner. Bond spies a propane tank 20 feet away. He whips out his 9mm Walter P99, fires a shot, sparking a giant fireball that lets him get away. It's a classic Bond maneuver. But is it an escape strategy to gamble your life on?
All right, you guys, how do you want to test this one?
I think we should start out by getting some empty propane tanks and shooting them with a 9mm, just to see if we can pierce them. Now, if we can't pierce them, I think we should step up to bigger and bigger guns and keep shooting until we find a gun that can.
And once we can pierce the tank, we should fill it with propane and find out if the tank can explode.
All right, sounds like we're going to need a lot of guns and a lot of propane tanks.
Tanked up and firing on all cylinders, it's straight to the Alameda bomb range. There's no messing about on this myth. Right away, the team unload an empty canister and put safety shields in place. After all, they all want to die another day, and not today.
All right, what's the plan?
Well, first off, we need to see if you can penetrate a gas cylinder before we start putting propane in it.
I think we should start with the 9mm, because that's what James Bond used in the movie.
Perfect. Let's do it.
It's a plot even Blofeld couldn't crack. From 20 feet, Carrie's firing the Walter P99 handgun. Same gun Bond used, same distance. But different result.
So the first test was with the 9mm. Shot it once, didn't pierce the tank. Shot it a second time, still didn't pierce the tank. And we couldn't get any sort of piercing into this tank.
Has the movie myth fallen foul of our gun-toting team already?
We pretty much busted this myth already. I mean, in the movie, he's using a 9mm and he punctures the tank. We've shot it twice, haven't been able to puncture it.
It's not going to happen.
Well, good thing we brought the entire MythBusters arsenal.
Sure is, because after one test, it's not looking good for this Bond movie moment. But in the words of Dr. No, we never fail, Mr. Bond. And we're not leaving without a fireball. Still to come, remote control controversy.
URC everything up until this point. This is my turn.
But up next, it's full steam ahead. It's the MythBusters James Bond Special. And Cary Grant and Tori are dancing around the question, could you spark a massive explosion by shooting a propane gas tank just like 007 did in Casino Royale? Well, Bond's 9mm's been blown away.
We've shot it twice, haven't been able to puncture it.
It's not going to happen.
So, like Bond at the casino, Tori's raised the stakes and reached for the shotgun.
Ah, look at that hole.
Let's see if it made it all the way through. Oh, not quite. Check it out. Almost, though.
Yeah.
But almost is not enough. For a big Bond bang, Cary reckons they need a gun that can slice through the front and the back of the tank.
Next, we're using the 30-06, and I think that this might be the gun that could create the fireball, because I think that bullet is going to penetrate the front and the back of the tank, and I think it might be able to make an entry wound, add oxygen into the environment, and then possibly spark on the way out. Nice shot, Bond!
Well, thank you.
The rifles ruptured the tank not once, but twice, at the front and through the back. But where does that leave Mr. Bond and his Walter P99?
Well, looks like we can bust the myth right here. I mean, the 9mm that James Bond used doesn't even pierce the tank.
Yeah, but we have two weapons that will puncture those tanks, the shotgun and the 30-06. Why don't we take those and shoot a full tank of propane gas and see what happens, see if it blows up into a ball of fire.
Well, before we start playing with fire, can we please change out of these completely flammable clothes?
Yeah, I'm sick of these monkey suits.
There's no monkey business back at the bomb range. Our intrepid trio are dealing with 22 gallons of highly flammable propane, packed at 240 psi. Even the steel tank's got a license to kill. It's a life-threatening scenario, so the tank is staked to the ground, and the team will fire from a safe distance away.
You know, one thing would be kind of cool is if we dress up Buster like James Bond, put him 20 feet away, and see what happens to him if this thing does explode, because he could potentially get burned up.
You sure could, because this round, Carrie's shooting a full tank of propane with the high-powered rifle.
The reason why the 30-06 might work is because we're using armor-piercing rounds, and that's a piece of steel surrounded by lead. Now, when that bullet goes through the first wall of the tank, the lead could shear away, leaving just the steel. And when that steel hits that second wall, we could create a spark.
The tank's locked and loaded. Buster Bond's standing by, and Carrie's got her gun.
Are you ready, Miss Moneypenny?
Quite ready.
Moneypenny never packed a piece like this.
3, 2, 1. Nice shot!
Good shot!
Thank you.
The high-speed camera shows the armor-piercing bullets slicing through the cylinder, like Bond at a pajama party, but without the resulting bang.
Wow, that's great, but no explosion, no.
But right on the money, Kenny.
The team have the propane tank myth on the run, but can they find the right bullet to blow it away? Now, let's leap into movie myth 003.
So what's up next?
This is a good one. Remember the famous speedboat chase through the bayous in Live and Let Die?
Yeah, that was great.
All right, our task is to replicate part of that chase, specifically the incredible jumps. Not just to replicate them, but to find out if speedboats, like the ones you see in the movie, could make a jump like that, land, and continue on their high-speed chase.
So it's all about that landing and whether or not it would destroy the boat.
Exactly. That's our task.
The Live and Let Die boat chase is surely the most spectacular in Bond history. Pursued by Mr. Big's henchmen through the Louisiana bayous, 007 finds himself trapped by a levee. In unflappable Bond style, he aims his speedboat at the bank and makes the leap over a shocked sheriff waiting below. He lands safely back in the water and races away. But will this movie myth have a crash landing?
Jimmy, in all your years as a captain in the Caribbean, did you ever jump a motorboat?
Well, I've sunk a couple, but never jumped one.
Well, that tells me that we probably don't want to go whole hog on this right off the bat, that a few scale tests are in order.
Sounds like a plan.
So it's full speed ahead for Adam as he creates a mini bayou on the floor of M5 using 2x4s, plywood, and a poly tarp.
I need it to be waterproof, because if I let this leak, Jamie will get really off.
And it's best not to anger Agent Heinemann when he's got a steel girder in hand.
That was easy.
It'll act the part of the small-scale ramp.
I hear the sound. It's like people yelling at their TVs. I know what they're saying. You're saying, but Adam, in the James Bond movie, he didn't hit a ramp. He hit the side of the levee. Here's the thing. We don't have a levee that's the perfect size and shape. And if we're all going to be honest with each other, we know that it happened with a ramp. Our question is not ramp or no ramp, levee or no levee. It's, can a boat make a jump like we saw in the movie and keep on going when it's done?
It all sounds so simple. So with the small-scale bayou complete, what's Adam's plan?
Well, I'm just going to go for this and hope for the best.
But he quickly learns that remote control is harder than it looks.
This is going to take a while. No. Oh, I hit the camera.
So how many times are you going to screw around with this before I get to go?
Look, you RC everything up until this point. This is my turn, and I've given you plenty of time in the past to dial it in and get into the zone. I don't want to be trying to get into the zone while thinking you're just going to usurp me at some point. So give me some bloody space.
With a thumbs up from James, Adam zones into his remote boat. The lessons he learns here will be crucial in the full-scale test later.
I know I want to learn some stuff from this test, like angle of ramp and speed of boat and controllability of boat. But there's also a host of things that I don't know about what I need to know. And that's probably the main reason we're doing this. Just to get a feel for controlling a boat, running it towards a ramp. It's not like this is an absolute analog to the full-size test, but it should teach us enough to know where the problem areas might occur. Jeez.
And what's quickly clear is that the key problem is control. If the boat doesn't hit the ramp dead on, its chances are sunk.
That was something. Well, I think that's about the end of what we can learn from this boat in scale.
Yep, it's time to go full size. Let's get a boat and do it for real.
Man, this one's going to be hard.
Make that hard and dangerous, because here's what's going to happen. Using a full-scale speedboat, the MythBusters will steer it onto a submerged ramp at high speed. If it miraculously manages to make the 70-foot leap over a barge below, will it still be in one piece?
Dude, it looks just like the boat in Live and Let Die.
Not going to get closer than that.
The speedboat's almost an exact replica of Bond's 1973 Glastron GT 150. But there's one tiny issue. The insurance company won't let James or Adam be in the boat during the test. So the only solution is RC.
I'm going to be RCing this boat. And then maybe I can get Jamie to sit in it. I'll let it go out of control and drive through a fence like he did to me. What the hell was that?
With remote revenge in mind, Adam wires up the boat so he can control the throttle and the steering wheel.
And I'm going to use the same module to do each. This is a very large, waterproof, super high-powered servo. Basically, when I make a motion on my RC transmitter, this will rotate according to what I tell it to do.
But the question is, will the boat obey Adam's every command, or is it on a crash course to catastrophe? There's just one way to find out.
Coming up next on MythBusters, find out how not to dry clean your tuxedo.
And is the Bond magnetic mission still on target?
Right to the same hole.
The MythBusters are taking aim at 007 movie myths. In Live and Let Die, James Bond's magnetic watch saves his bacon more than once. But could it really deflect a speeding bullet? Or is it just Bond baloney? Armed with a replica of 007's watch, steel bullets, and, well, a ballistics gel arm, James and Adam are on target to put this myth to the test. This myth depends on deadly accurate aim. So to take human error out of the equation, our magnetic duo rig up a remote firing device. And Adam's gone high-tech to explain how it'll work.
Allow me to demonstrate with a bit of secret agent yarn. Under normal circumstances, the bullet leaving this barrel will follow a consistent trajectory towards the target, i.e. every bullet we fire should go through the same hole at this distance. However, if there is any merit to this myth, the bullet, when it goes past the watch, will change its trajectory, and then we'll see a different hole being made into the target.
Cue-worthy theory, Adam. Let's put it to the test. The first two shots simply check the trajectory of a bullet without the magnet in play. And sure enough, both bullets land in the same spot on the target.
That's what I like to see, right through the same hole. All right, let's get that watch fired up and see if there's a difference.
Remember, any differences in the next test will be the result of the magnet. So, like solitaire, it's time to lay the cards on the table about the might of our electromagnet. Magnetism is measured in Gauss. The Earth's magnetic field is about half a Gauss. A fridge magnet, 10 Gauss, while a junkyard magnet is a whopping 10,000 Gauss. And as for our Bond watch?
575.
That's not bad for a small one that fits in a watch.
Well, yeah, that's the most we could fit in there, and I want to point out that we've overclocked this. This is running at like 5 times the voltage it's intended to.
Perfect.
James has juiced up the magnet as far as it'll go, but has it got the stones to sidetrack the slug, just like in Live and Let Die?
You know, Adam, even though they say that this electromagnetic watch was powerful enough to deflect a bullet, you never actually see it do that in the film.
We do, however, see it do some other pretty remarkable feats, like pull the zipper down on that woman's dress, you see it track that compressed gas bullet, and even pull his boss's teaspoon off of his teacup from across the room.
Yeah, but all those effects are old school. Pulling monofilament, rods, stuff like that.
Yeah, the fact is, a magnet's power decreases exponentially the farther you get away from it. They simply can't act at a distance unless you're really close.
And that's exactly why we're doing our testing at very close range.
Okay, but the question is, even at close range, will a magnet this size affect a bullet at all?
Okay, electromagnetic watch test in 3, 2, 1.
Right through the hole.
Right through the same hole. No effect from the watch. Well, let's double check and have a look at the high speed.
Okay.
The high-speed camera captures the bullet at 6,000 frames a second, and it confirms that the bullet stayed on course.
Well, that's definitive. The electromagnetic watch did not work. And the fact is, there's just no way to pump enough energy through an electromagnet that size to be able to affect a bullet.
But we're not going to leave it there. That's just the first part of what we do, replicating the circumstances. Now we want to see if we can replicate the results. Will a bigger electromagnet alter the trajectory of our bullets?
But when it comes to electromagnets, does size matter? Well, it might not fit on your wrist, but this magnet has 3,200 Gauss of pure pulling power.
This is firing a bullet past a super big electromagnet in 3, 2, 1. Went right through the same hole. The electromagnet had no effect on the trajectory. Let's look at the high speed.
Yet again, the high speed tells the same story. Even an electromagnet this big doesn't affect the bullet.
Well, the results of all the tests we've conducted so far are pretty conclusive. No matter how many bullets we've fired, and no matter what we fired them past, they are all exiting through the same hole in the Jamie target, which tells me that nothing we're trying is affecting the trajectory of any of our bullets.
The electromagnet is not enough, but our secret agents haven't surrendered yet. The Casino Royale exploding propane tank myth is busted. Bond's 9mm couldn't even pierce the tank. And even when the team used a high-velocity rifle with armor-piercing bullets, there was a good head of steam, but no explosion. But Carrie's got a hot idea.
None of this regular stuff's gonna do it. We're gonna need something with a little fire, so we're moving on to a tracer round. This should be interesting.
Tracers have a small amount of bright burning phosphorus at their base. That's what makes them visible to the naked eye. But it vaporizes as the bullet travels through the air. It's possible Bond could be packing tracers, but gun guru Frank Tabor reckons he'd need more than a single shot.
You may have to shoot it twice. Once to pierce it, and the second one maybe to ignite the ball of gases that come out. We'll find out.
Yeah! Tori's pumped, and the tracers are locked and loaded. The first tracers lit up like Christmas Jones, releasing a huge cloud of flammable gas. In comes the second, and the third, but
I can't believe this. No explosion.
Yeah, but I saw the tracer rounds definitely lit up.
So the tracer rounds went in, it punctured the tank. It should have ignited, but it didn't.
this myth's not just double busted, it's triple busted. No bullets triggered the mighty Bond kaboom.
That's it. I am so over bullets. We even tried a tracer round, which is basically a bullet on fire, and we couldn't get any explosion out of a propane tank. So we're moving on to high explosives, something that will guarantee a really James Bond ending to this story.
And if you want a Bond-worthy explosion, bomb technician J.D. Nelson's the go-to guy. He attaches a small amount of incendiary explosives to the tank and rolls out the charge. While Buster Bond stays 20 feet from the tank, the team retreat to the safety of their blast-proof lair.
Anybody else feel like an evil genius?
Bye-bye, 00 Buster.
Today, propane tanks. Tomorrow, world domination.
You've seen your last martini, 003. In 3, 2, 1.
That was the biggest ball of flame I've ever seen!
Oh, that was rare.
Now that's what you'd call a real thunderball. Remember, all JD added was enough explosive to rupture the tank and ignite the gas. The rest was